Hey guys, welcome back. Check out this video by Frank A.
Own a debit card? I've never owned one. I've never allowed my three sons to possess one. Certainly and truly the worst financial tool ever given to the American consumer. So a long time ago, I asked myself a simple question: how would I remove 99.9% of my personal liability like that? So I use the safest form of payment that exists on the face of the earth, and that is a credit card. Credit card. Not debit credit, but credit card. Every day of my life, I spend their money. I don't spend my money. My money sits in a money market account. It earns interest. If I pay the bill in full or part of the bill, my credit score goes up. So I'm building credit while I'm using that credit card. Tomorrow, someone gets my card number and charges $1 million on my credit card. By federal law, my liability is zero. I have no liability.
All right, Kirby, I know I can't pass it off to you, so I will go first. So, I've seen this video before, way before we're even reacting to it, and I do agree with it completely. We've both talked about this and explained that this is why we use credit cards as well. The liability aspect of it, I think, is the biggest benefit of using a credit card. I've personally experienced my credit card being used by someone else for fraud or whatever. I know you've mentioned you've experienced your debit card being used by fraud. Um, and in the credit card experience, it was very smooth. I mean, it was just, I noticed a charge, I called the company, they immediately like gave me a new card and refunded me the money. So it was like almost no headache at all. So that was my experience with seeing that happen to my credit card. So I know that there's truth to what this guy is saying. And Kirby, I know you've mentioned about your debit card being used in previous videos, but you mentioned it was, a headache to work with the bank on getting the money back. But what do you have on this video?
One thing, well, two parts. All right, first I'll go with what you're talking about. Well, I have one of the best banks when it comes to dealing with this. So it takes, 21. I'm saying 21 because sometimes it take more than 3 days. So I mean more than 2 days. So about 21 to 35 hours for them to fix the issue. But I've seen people in the same situation where their debit card was compromised, using it at a fuel station or somewhere, and it took them weeks to get their money back from their debit card. So the point that I like about the video that it gets glossed over a lot because people just focus on how dependable the credit card is when he said debit cards is the worst creation ever for the US consumer. And I'm explaining why. That's the part that people miss. CNBC just yesterday came out with a report. In 2023, banks, just the big banks, not the credit unions, not the small regional banks, none of them, just the big US financial institutions, they collected $2.2 billion in overdraft fees in 2023. 2.2 billion from consumers. Why? Because I believe the debit card, just like the credit card, don't make people financially conscious of what's going on. They go in, swipe, go in, swipe, go in, swipe. They have automatic payments coming out of that same checking account. And then they swipe, 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 not paying attention. Then they overswipe at a store, overswipe at a convenience store, overswipe at a pharmacy. And then now those automatic payments are coming through. And then what happens? Overdraft, overdraft, overdraft. Checks bounce. It's all they replace. It just now it's so much easier to overdraft. That's how they can collect $2.2 billion in overdraft fees. The number used to be higher. 2.2 billion is a number that's coming down from almost up to $5 and $6 billion, a couple of years ago. That is the crazy part. That is why the debit card is the worst, because we already know a lot of people are not financially literate, financially conscious. It's setting people up to fail. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, people had a checkbook and they had to balance the checkbook. People was terrible at that and it was bouncing checks. Now you could just swipe unconscious until it's at zero, and then people forget. You still got those automatic deposits, automatic setups. And like my mom when she moved here to Florida, she was debit card only, debit card only. Oh, we only use credit cards in emergencies. But then she had automatic payments coming out, automatic payments. So I changed the whole structure of it. All your automatic payments go to your credit card. Matter of fact, you see this debit card here? Oh, well, let's cut this up. You don't need that. I was like, you don't want nobody to have access to your personal funds. Just like you explained why how easy it is. Like if somebody compromises a credit card, you can just call, they can put the credit back on. Because the only thing the credit card company gonna do is just write it off, but you get the credit back on. When you give them access to your funds, then it don't matter that somebody compromised your bank debit card and they take the money out. If you have automatic payments still coming through, they're going to bounce also until the bank puts the money back. But they're not going to put back the overdraft fees they charge you. That's why you have to protect yourself. Like I always talk about, people are targets. That's why I'm not a big fan of show off, do this. You just become a target. If you go to these janky ass gas stations that's the card reader's been compromised, you swipe it, next thing you know. I've had that. I was in Virginia. I believe this was 2010ish. I'm in Virginia. I go to the store, but I swipe my credit card. No, yeah, I swipe my credit card and then I fly out of the country, and then when I land in another country, I haven't used the card since. And then I'm getting all these emails about fraud alert. I look up somebody that spent $20,000 at Apple stores. Only thing the people call me, they were like, "We know this ain't you. You know me. I ain't trying to spend money on nothing." And then they called and then they put it back. That's the greatness of having a credit card. Now, just imagine if I had automatic payments coming out of my bank account and they took the money out of my checking, and then I had automatic payments coming out for mortgages, rents, car payments, or whatever. Now, only thing I'm doing is getting bounce checks, bounce checks, bounce checks, bounce checks, bounce checks, and now just keep collecting all those fees because those people with automatic payments, they're just gonna keep sending it through, and it's just gonna keep bouncing every 3 to 5 days, and then I'm screwed. So credit cards help protect people from itself. But the caveat to that is if you running up the numbers on your credit card, you better have the money to pay for it to get it off because the interest rate today causes a whole nother situation and problems.
Yeah, yeah, not to confuse, get this video misconstrued, but exactly, you have to have the money in order to pay for what you're buying with that credit card. You don't want to, because that's how people get into debt. They treat it just like that, just the same way as a debit card. They keep swiping, and then they just rack up credit card debt. I've heard of tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, and you have to have that. You have to have the money in your bank account that's attached to your debit card so you can pay for the credit card, but preferably use the credit card so that it's that layer of protection.
I got
Yeah.
a question for you. This off topic, and maybe we can create another video about it. So, what when you get in a credit card, what is the max amount? What credit limit do you shoot for when you get in a credit card?
Truthfully, I don't really care about the credit limit, but normally the credit limit I get is around 10,000. But I'm not looking for a credit limit per se. That's not what I'm looking for when I'm getting a credit card.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I believe people should their credit limit should be 1 month. I mean, 1 month of their income. That's I mean, 1 month of your income should be your credit limit. So you won't go and just spend way over because you can't bounce a check with a credit card. But and then you got the income in that month to pay it all back. So that's I mean, of course, you shouldn't go all the way to that limit anyway. But I believe again, protecting people from themselves, they should never go over the number of their monthly income because if they bring in 5,000 a month and then they get a 10, 15, $20,000 credit card, they have the ability to overspend what they're
Yeah.
going to bring in. And then next thing you know, now interest is piling up because people just swiping. So that's just, something that I just thought about while we was talking about this, but that's just one of my true beliefs of it.
Yeah. With all that being said, guys, hit the like button if you like this video. If you got any comments, let us know down below. Share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.